What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Royal Minds podcast. Once again, it's your host, the real Willis, Mr. Royal Minds. And today, I have an amazing guest, somebody that understands growth and patience on a whole nother level. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Michari Patterson and I go by Reese. And I am a yoga instructor. Release With Reese is my business name. And that's it. And I'm from Flint. And I've been teaching for around 2 years, going on 2 years.
So we just gonna go ahead and jump right on into it.
Okay.
Because I got a lot of questions about yoga, and then not only just about yoga, but just understanding how to incorporate your business into your lifestyle.
Okay.
So my first question, this one is a selfish one, because I got to know this for myself. Like, what made you dive into yoga?
A lot of reasons. So initially, I jumped into yoga because I wanted to touch my toes.
Okay.
Like that was a seller for me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to class and I'm gonna be able to touch my toes or do the splits. That's what attracted me. Mm-hmm. And so at the time I was going to a gym, the Gym Fitness Center on Miller Road. And I had been working out there for a while. I got a membership and I found that they had yoga classes that were, a part of the whole package. Mm-hmm. And I showed up, on a Wednesday. It was just me. I'm the only little melanated girl in the class.
Gotcha.
And I took it and okay, the first time it sold me, I was like, okay, this is cool. Like my body felt great because I was really sore. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then I kept going back. And then I would say maybe like the 4th or 5th time I went, something else happened that wasn't just physical. I remember laying on my mat and it was just like this warm feeling came over my body. Mm-hmm. And I was stressing out before I got to class that day. Somebody at work had stolen my credit card. Mm. And right when I got to class, I got the alert on my phone that they had withdrew all of my money except for like $10. And so I was on the phone with them while I was in class and I was getting ready to leave. And my instructor was like, no, stay for class. And the class that she took us through was different than any other flow she had ever done. Like we was working, okay? But it took me totally out of what I was going through that day. And so when I laid on the mat, it was like this calming peace came over me, like this warm sensation. And I remember hearing, this is what you need to give back to the community. Mm. And when I got up, I was overcome by all this emotion. I remember hugging her and thanking her. And she was like, I gave you what you needed. Like you needed this class. Mm-hmm. And when I left there, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to teach.
See, that's so dope. Like you just going to that one class mm-hmm. with everything going on, and it just basically birthed a new passion in you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So that right there is just amazing to me. Because
yeah,
the reason I say that is because a lot of people I don't think they get that opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like through the midst of chaos, mm-hmm. find the calmness or the balance within it.
Right.
So it's like, I understand when she gave you that opportunity within your class, I'm like, oh,
it was like, like, is this? Because normally my go-to, I had always been overly emotional. Mm-hmm. Well, I won't say overly emotional. I was emotional though. Like it didn't take much to make me cry.
Gotcha.
And so to experience something different, mm-hmm. And still feel that relief afterwards. And then too, the solution afterwards to how to handle that problem mm-hmm. came instantly. Mm. Like, okay, do this without any emotion involved. You know what I mean? Without mm-hmm. the stress attached to, oh, somebody stole my car. What I'm gonna do? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. All of that extra that sends your anxiety roof high. I was able to solve it without all of that, with a clear and peaceful mind. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the whole game changer.
So my next question for you is, how did yoga add to your growth?
Yoga added to my growth because it allowed me to see myself for real. Mm. So we all know, like, how can you grow if you don't see yourself? If you constantly walking around thinking, okay, I'm good the way that I am, you're not growing. But getting outside of the emotion of holding on to all of these false concepts I had of myself, you know what I mean? To let that go, like, you know what? You probably do got some stuff you need to work on. The emotion tied to not addressing that, you know what I mean? It's like you see yourself for real and it's not a good feeling. So you get stuck in that emotion like, I don't want to see myself. I'm good here, because erasing all of that means I'm gonna have to go through something uncomfortable, and I don't want to be uncomfortable. But yoga allowed me to take away that emotion, because inevitably, like, who cares for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? You see yourself. Okay, now what you gonna do? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So
it was that for me. Like, okay, let me take this time. Like, and I've never done that before. I never did. I never took the time to actually, Shari, what do you like? You know what I mean? Like, people will come up to me like, oh, what do you like to do in your spare time? And I would say like the obvious, oh, I like to watch TV or read. But no, like, for real, like, what do you like to do? You know what I mean? And yoga with that internal look at yourself, like nothing else around you matters right now. You know what I mean? Like all of that external stuff, your to-do list, you know, worrying about what you're going to do tomorrow, worrying about what happened yesterday, worrying about the past, the present, the future. You got all of this on you. How can you see yourself for real? How can you? If you're trying to keep up with this trend, that trend, what she doing, what he did yesterday, when do you have time to be like, hey, Shari, hello? You don't.
So did yoga basically help you to check the person in the mirror?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Hey, that's fire.
Like, it is.
I love that, because that's like another passion of mine is basically, like you said, talking with people and helping them to see themselves. But to be able to find that in a creative way, in, like you said, in yoga. And most people, like even myself, I'm like, yoga is just like stretching, relaxing, meditation almost. Right. But I never looked at it as being therapeutic, as you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because everything I learned on the mat applies in everyday situations. So one of the concepts, surrendering, you have to surrender into the pose, right? And when we're going on our day-to-day lives, we have all of these expectations. I expect this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have a whole list of our own expectations. And I don't know if you know, like I know, but it ain't about what we expect. We could expect one thing, but God could be expecting something totally different. Yeah. So when our life moves in the way that he intended and we have to let go of those expectations, we don't always want to do that. And that's super uncomfortable. That's an uncomfortable situation. Well, I like him. I want to be with him. And God is like, no, come. Or I want to go left. And God is like, no, come right. And you still holding on to it. That's a lot of stress in itself. You know what I mean? Because you're fighting something that's inevitable. But yoga teaches you to surrender. And sometimes we have to surrender those expectations to be able to move forward to where we need to go. So I literally mean every concept can be applied to life.
So give us another concept, because I love the one you just dropped.
Surrendering and letting go. Breathing, just taking a breath and using your breath to release things that you're holding on to. And so I teach yin. And a lot of times you'll get in a pose and you might be clenching your quad muscle. Or you might be, clenching your glutes, and you don't always notice it when you're in the pose. And so usually I'll tell them, do a body scan and notice what you're holding tight, and then take a deep breath in and exhale, let it go. Send your breath to where you're holding to release it. So a lot of times when we encounter things on our day to day, especially something that angers us, we don't breathe. You're in your fight or flight response and you're withholding all the oxygen from your brain. So the next thing you know, you done did all kinds of stuff and you're not really thinking. So the first thing you want to do is take a deep breath in and exhale. Send your brain some oxygen, breathe, and then see, if you have the same response. Or if you're going through something that's extremely hard, something extremely emotional. Or even if you've been through something in like a past experience, a lot of times we hold on to stuff just to be holding, maybe we don't know we're holding on to it. Maybe we experienced something that affected us in a certain way and we don't even realize it. But a lot of times we need to let it go. You know what I'm saying? Be able to take a breath and just let it go, release it.
I am loving the fact that yoga has like, let me see how to say it. It has life lessons in it. Yeah. I didn't know. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know yoga was this powerful.
It is. It's life changing. I can honestly say that I don't think I've had as close as a relationship with God as I do now. It was almost like I was living my day to day and I couldn't hear what he was trying to say. But how can you hear when you're thinking about all of this stuff and you're never present? You're never in the moment. Your mind is never clear. If he's trying to get to you, how? So.
No, I understand that completely. So like just with yoga, it seems like it's taught you a new level of, like I said in the beginning, of patience. Like, help us to understand how yoga helped you with your patience in your everyday life.
Well, I'm going to say this. I'm still a work in progress, okay, with patience.
Gotcha.
He works with me all the time. But as far as patience is concerned, like I said, I'm a work in progress. My patience is tried on a day-to-day. I will say that.
Okay.
But one thing, again, I will say with patience in yoga is it's the expectation. You know what I mean? It's the expectation behind it. So when I first started teaching, I used to be like a control freak as far as my classes were concerned. When I'm passionate about something, I want it to go a certain way.
Gotcha.
Okay. I have it all planned out from the beginning to the end. So when I first started teaching, I would have my class, how I wanted my flow to go, what song I wanted to go with each flow, what I wanted to say,
Gotcha.
Just everything. But at the time, I was teaching in a park. And so most of my students that started with me and did the whole little park sessions, they can attest to this. Nothing ever went right. It was always an issue.
So was it kind of like you had OCD with your class?
I did.
Okay.
I did in the beginning. Super OCD. But it was almost like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Lemony Snicket's, the series of unfortunate events.
Oh, yeah.
That was me every week. Like, it was always something. So either my speaker would die mid-class, my phone would die mid-class, a woman came and started leaf blowing in the middle of the class before. One time it was like a goose pooped everywhere that she could possibly poop. Like we had nowhere, like it was always something. But what that taught me was to have patience with things, you know what I'm saying, that were outside of my control. To understand that sometimes you have to go with the flow. And with going with the flow, you have to have some amount of patience because you don't know where you about to flow to. You know what I mean? So it has taught me, and then I have my moments where I'm like, this is it. But I have also learned to see and accept that because things derail sometimes, maybe it was meant to derail. Or maybe it's something in it derailing that I'm not seeing. So in doing that, it has taught me to be patient, to just sit and let things reveal themselves and to lose my own expectations and to realize it's okay.
Okay. One thing that you just said that sparked something in me was when you said some things you have to let derail. Like, and you just got to let it take its course, let it be what's going to be. Like, explain that. Like,
let it, because I don't know. I feel like sometimes we have blinders on. I know for me, sometimes I don't always see You know what I mean? You don't always see initially when something derails that, oh, it derailed, but man, look at this. It's a strawberry tree with these juicy strawberries on it right here where it derailed at. You don't always see that. You know what I mean? I got somewhere to go. Like this train, who come to get us type thing. You know what I mean? So I feel like when you slow down sometimes, you know what I mean? Because we're always on the go, 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 go. Sometimes when you slow down and be in the present, because that's key. That's one of the main things I learned in yoga. Above all of the other lessons, being present in the moment, in the right now.
In the now.
In the now.
Got you.
Allows you to see things totally different. Like in The Alchemist, right? It's one of my favorite books. I love The Alchemist. But in The Alchemist, there's a part where the caravan driver, Santiago, goes up to him and he's like, it's a war going on. Like, and you chilling, eating your beans. Like, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you not scared? Because we are nervous. Like, what's going on? And he was like, why am I worried about, you know, what's going on, what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day? Like, I'm concerned with what's going on right now in the present. And when you have that type of mentality, I feel like when things derail, it's kind of like, okay, I'm in the moment. Let me chill. You know what I'm saying? And then you can kind of see. At least, I don't know. That's for me. I don't know. I could just see every situation I've been in, even some of the most painful things I have experienced. I didn't always see it at first. And that's just me being honest. I was so lost in my emotions and my expectations of what I thought things were supposed to be that I didn't understand, you know, that moment of what was going on. And so I allowed my emotions to take over because, you know, that's where I was. But then when I began to silence, you know, my mind and those expectations and to surrender, then I saw like, oh, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
another thing that you had said was just like, I'm loving this conversation right now. Like,
me too.
It's so much that you laying out here for a lot of people to understand. Like the thing that you said was understanding how to control your emotions. Like just the other day, I was talking with somebody about emotional intelligence. They was like, I didn't even know that was a thing. I'm like, no, I'm like, it's an actual thing. Like you got to know how to manage and how to gauge it. And it's just so, I want to say profound that you found that in yoga. Like I'm telling you, it's so dope that yoga did taught you all this. And it's like I said, most of the time you only think about certain things from face value. That's how I'll put it. Like, yeah, this is just going to help me. Like you said, stretch better. I'm going to touch my toes. Yeah. But it then gave you a whole new perception on life. Yeah.
A new pair of glasses. A whole new pair of glasses, basically. Like, oh, this whole time I thought all that stuff mattered. No, not really. Not for real. There's a book that I read, I believe it's called The Art of Surrender. I always get the title mixed up, but it's something like that. The Art of Letting Go or The Art of Surrender. And it's basically talking about emotions through the whole entire book. But it's funny to me to like think back on it, like, I really thought I was my emotions. You know what I mean? For a very long time, I thought that my emotions were me, the sadness, or, you know what I mean? And in hindsight, this is not, you know what I mean? It's one exercise that in the book, he had us do where he's like, okay, the next time you're in a situation and you're upset and something angers you, right? A lot of times we stay in that anger because we constantly replay whatever it was that angered us. Like, oh, I can't believe you think about that all day, and right?
Not to cut you off, but another thing you'll do is after everything all said, you be like, man, I should have said.
Yeah. You have a whole playlist.
Yeah, like, man, I should have said this right here. You know what? Tomorrow I'm gonna go on up in here and I'm just go ahead and I'm just knocking stuff over just so cuz I had to.
Absolutely.
Bro, you came up with a whole new scenario to start a whole nother problem.
A whole nother issue. We add logs to the fire. Instead of just adding logs. Yeah. And so he was like, he said, take away the action and then see how long you sit in the emotion. right? And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I did it one time. And I was like, dang, like it went away within seconds. Within seconds. So I said all that to say, you are the ruler of your emotion. Your thought processes is what controls your emotions. How long are you going to hold on to it and keep that emotion there? Mm-hmm. And it's almost like you have to consciously make a decision. Like, for me, I want to say for myself, the thing that ultimately changed me and how I responded to things is because I was tired of being where I was. Mm-hmm. I was tired of waking up angry and sad and, having this feeling of lack. And I was tired of that. Mm-hmm. And so I made the conscious decision to not be that. Mm-hmm. And any tools that I encountered that helped me not be that, I did. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's it.
That's dope, because what it is you living in abundance now. Mm-hmm. It's like you said, you no longer live in a life or in the mind frame of a lack thereof. Mm-hmm. It's not everything that I need is right here.
It's right here.
It's right here. And then, like you said, living in the presence, mm-hmm. that just, man, that adds the frosting on the cake, as they say.
Yes. Because
literally, it just make it to where it's like, if I feel as if I have everything I need, and then if I can see that, mm-hmm. it's like, it's no telling what I can design my future to be.
Absolutely.
So, man.
Absolutely.
That is amazing.
It is. It is very much so. I don't know. I don't have any downsides to yoga. And even teaching in itself has been a complete joy. Like, I learned so much. Now I'm new and, I just started teaching, mm-hmm. but, man, like I'm learning, as I go along so many different things. When I first started teaching, I used to not be able to do the calls. Like, I would stutter and I'd be like, oh, I don't know how to tell them to get into the pose. And when I was in school, or taking the training, they would tell us, like, it'll come to you. You get your own style. And I'm like, I'm sorry, how? Like, I can't get the stuff out. And then eventually, it came to me. And so now it's just, I speak from my heart. You know what I mean? Like, I can't explain it. Like, it just comes out. And a lot of times, before I was writing my flows out, and now I just go in and it just comes to me based on, the energy in the room, what the students need, and my heart. It all comes from there. I can't express that enough, but I'm learning and I'm willing to, keep learning.
Got you.
So,
because another thing about it is, like, one, you operating in mm-hmm. in your greatness right now. I just want to let you know that.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. I got to give you your flowers while you're here.
I appreciate it. I give them all. I need them all.
Got you. But no, it's the part about it that I'm just enjoying is to see you go after your dream with the passion of knowing that I can do it. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of people, they go after certain things and it's almost like a hobby, because mm-hmm. yoga could have turned into a hobby for you. Mm-hmm. Like, you could have just went every week and just had fun, basically worrying about your peace. Mm-hmm. But it's like, because you found this new sense of peace, you want to help others get it as well.
Absolutely. It's funny because I say this so much, but as children, I feel like children come here with the gifts that they are supposed to move in. Right? You come here doing what it is you were set out to do. Along the way, sometimes we get a little lost. We get a little sidetracked. Somebody might, oh, you should try nursing, or you should try this. And mm-hmm. we lose that. Or if it's not fed, then we forget about it. True. So as a child, I came here teaching. Mm-hmm. I have a younger sister who's 2 years younger than me. And I taught her how to read. So before she got to kindergarten, she was reading. Everything I knew, I taught her. I gave to her. And I took joy. We used to play school, and I'm telling you, I had the dittos. I had worksheets. I had my little chalk. I used to write. We had a wooden door. That was my chalkboard. Like, I used to get busy. That's what I came here doing. That was my passion. Mm-hmm. something in me, I don't know what it is, but it is something in me where I take joy in giving what I know to someone else, helping, you know what I mean? Even if it doesn't help, maybe it just plants the seed and they think about it later on. Whatever it is, like it's not an ego-driven thing. It's just, I feel like if I know, why are you sitting on you just gonna sit on the knowledge? Like you're not gonna pass it on. You know what I mean? So it's that for me.
Oh no, I get that 100%. That's why, like, whenever somebody come and ask me about podcasting or anything that I'm doing, if you ask me, I give you the whole blueprint. Like I tell people, and I learned this from somebody we both know, Ed. Like I can give you the blueprint, but it's up to you what you do with it.
What you do with it.
So
absolutely.
Like how people be like, I dominate my lane and everything like that. It's like, yeah, but in the same breath, just because you're the best at what you do, it don't mean you can't teach somebody to ultimately be better than you. Yeah. And that's how I see it. Like, what's the purpose of me being the best if can't nobody be better than me?
Not only that, but there is enough for everyone. Like, God is so big, like there's literally a lane for everybody. There is a lot of yoga instructors, but there is a lane for Reese. It's a lane for Toy. It's a lane for Tay. Like we all are so different. And you know what I mean? In our own ways, like we have different music, we have different messages. Her flow is different. Her vibe is different. My energy is different. It's enough for everybody. And when you look at things that way, there's no need for me to be jealous. There's no need for me to take. I don't want to take anything. He gonna give me what's mine with my name on it and a pretty little bow on the top. Like, you know what I mean? And when you think of things that way, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not give? That is what we are here for. That is the whole, you know what I mean? We're all one. We're all of one body. So why not?
That's the whole, I want to say transaction of life. That's how I'm gonna put it. That's the whole transaction of life, to give and to get, pretty much. It's like, how I tell people is, help me help you. Whatever you need from me, let me know that. That way I can give you exactly what you need. Because if I can't help you, like if I can't help you, there's no way for me to help myself. Absolutely. Or if I don't help myself first, I should say, there's no way for me to help you. That's why I tell a lot of people, another thing I say is, you have to be selfish to be selfless.
Yes. You have to fill your cup. Can't fill nobody else's cup with an empty cup. You got to fill yours too.
It's a fact.
Absolutely.
So what I'll ask you is, how did you find in this whole new level of peace, balance, and almost like serenity? How does that trickle over into motherhood for you?
Oh, how does it trickle over into motherhood? It's totally different. It's different. Now, I have a 18-year-old who will be 19. Okay. Pretty soon. And then I have a 5-year-old who turned 6 today.
Oh, happy birthday.
So, yes, I will tell him. He's so excited. But there is an entire difference between the way I parented my daughter versus the way I parent my son. With my daughter, I still had, I thought a lot of stuff mattered. You know what I mean? So I was a lot more strict with her. And then at the time, I was struggling. You know what I mean? Not only was I struggling financially, but I was struggling with myself. I was struggling with a lot of different things. So
an inner battle.
An inner battle that I didn't even realize I was having for real. Okay. So it was one of those. But, and so she seen me go through everything under the sun. You know what I mean? I've been in abusive relationships. You know, I've been homeless at some point in time. I've been in all types of things, you know, didn't have a job for an amount of time, and anxiety, depression. And so I never quit. She's also seen that of me though. She's seen that I never stopped. I've always held or with her, you know, at one point I was working maybe 2 to 3 jobs at one time just to do what I had to do. You know what I mean? So with my son now, is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I allow him to be who he is, and I nurture him a different way. Now with my daughter, I always nurtured her talents, and I always gave her the reassurance, you know what I mean? That you are, because she's different. Like, she likes different stuff. She has a lot of my quirks, she loves anime and stuff like that. So I always tell her, like, it's okay to be different. And I always reassured her, because I didn't know. And so a lot of the things that made me, I hid and lost because I didn't know it was okay to be that. You know what I mean? And so I made sure that I gave that to her. But my son, with all of this peace and serenity that I have now, I'm not as strict on him about certain stuff, and I allow him to explore, and I teach him and my daughter now techniques on how to center themselves and balance themselves, and how to deal with their emotions in a not so abrasive way. Because I feel like with my daughter, I was more abrasive and, saying all, you know how, but with my son, it's a lot more hands-on and just more explaining and more giving options, healthier options. Like, okay, well, you did this. Was that a good choice? Every action has a consequence. Like, so do you like the consequence to your action, or should you have thought about that a little bit? Just to, so yeah, that's the difference.
The one thing I kind of want you to explain a little bit more for the viewers is healthy options. Because I've never heard it explained. Like, I never heard it that way. I understand it though, but I never heard nobody express it that way.
Healthy options. I don't want the people at my neck. I feel like when dealing with my children, I don't want him to fear a choice. I want him to understand that his choice has a consequence, but I don't want him to fear making a choice, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm going to get it. You know what I mean? Because what does that, in turn, what does that do?
Build up anxiety.
Exactly. So, okay, if you make this choice, this is the consequence for that choice versus this is the consequence to this choice. Now, which one do you think is the best? That, to me, is a healthier choice because it engages him to think, not react in emotion, but to think. Like, oh, I ain't gonna do it because I'm scared. Now you're swimming in emotion, but you're not really thinking about it for real. You're not making the best logical choice. You're making the best choice based off of the emotion of fear. So that's the healthier choice to me.
Man, it's fire.
Thank you.
Listen, learn how to do healthy options. That's all I'm gonna say to y'all. Understand that concept, please. But I love that because I'm not a parent just yet. But when I sit down with my wife and we had these conversations about parenting, that's pretty much how I explained it to her. But I never explained it like healthy options. I just always told her, like, I don't want to have to, let me see, I said, like you said, teach my children how to fear. Yeah. Like, no, there's no reason to fear anything, to be honest with you, because it's all inside your head.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, how I see it, fear is just a perception of how something may happen or the outcome of how something may go. That's how I try to explain fear to people. So I'm like, I know children still don't have that level of fear. But I'm like, I don't want you to fear coming to talk to me about something. Or
to let that be your go-to.
Exactly.
That was it for me. Like, growing up as a child, number one, I grew up in Selby Hood. So if you know anything about Selby Hood back in the day, that was all the Bloods, whatever. So as a child, that was terrifying. And I didn't necessarily have anybody tell me, like, this is a gang. You not in the gang, so you don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, nobody was explaining this stuff to me. So I've seen drive-bys at this point. I'll never forget. Like, it's embedded in my memory. I know the day. I know what the weather was. I know what I had on. Like, it's embedded. And I used to watch my father. He worked third shift. And so when he would leave, I would be terrified. They would be on the side of my bedroom window when I would try to sleep, you know what I mean? And he would come in late and I would be scared that something was going to happen to him coming in. So that was fear. And that almost became my go-to. As growing up, my first emotion would be fear before it would be faith. So in any situation, I would be fearful before I would have faith that it would be okay. Until I learned the reverse.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't want that.
If you can, dive a little bit more on faith over fear.
Faith over fear.
Yeah, because that's a dope concept.
It is. I feel like there's always an option, right? So there's always an option to be fearful, but there's also the option to have faith, right? So why go that way when you can go this way? Yeah. You know what I mean? If they're both emotions and, you know, they're both available in this situation, why are you going to pick that one?
Gotcha.
I'm like, why are you picking the rotten apple when it's the ripe one right here? Pick the right one. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what's the worst that can happen? You could pick fear and be over there scared and blocking yourself from something, or you could pick faith. Either way, you don't know what's going to happen. That's how I look at it. You don't know what's going to happen if you be over there fearful. You don't know what's going to happen if you have faith. So I'm going ahead and have faith.
Yeah. I can agree with that, because with me, just me personally, picking faith over fear is literally how I got here. Because for myself, it was like, I've never seen anybody be an entrepreneur besides, let me see how to say it, on the opposite side of entrepreneurship, if you get what I'm saying.
I do.
So I'm like, I never really seen somebody run their own business and understand the entirety of their business. I didn't see people understand levels, but not the whole entire thing.
Right.
So it's like, with me, I was only taught to work 9 to 5s. So from there, it was like, do I stay here and keep dealing with something that I know is putting stress on me physically and mentally, and to a degree spiritually? Do I stay in that, or do I just go ahead and say, let me release this and try something different?
Try something different. Yeah.
And then another part about me is I love being uncomfortable to a degree. Because like you said, I grew up and I was different. Everybody thought that I was the, quiet, smart person, mind his business. I'm like, no, I just like to chill.
Right.
So I was always by myself. But from that, I had to understand how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right.
So, yeah. But in all, I say that to say, yeah, faith is just, when you walk in faith, it's just something different.
It's something different. But I feel like, for me, I had to get to that point where I didn't want to be that anymore. And then it was almost like, okay, well, you tired of living in fear. You tired of waking up with this, that, and the third. So what you gonna do? You either gonna continue to stay there, or let's try something else. Let's have a little faith. Let's see what that's about.
You had to make a choice.
You had to make a choice. Yeah. That's to sum it all up. And then another thing that happened to me during that time, when I was choosing to have faith, I didn't exactly know what having faith meant for real. I didn't. I had no idea. And I remember going through something. I don't remember what it was now, but I was going through something and I was crying. I was hysterical. And I remember praying and asking him to show me what it meant. And then I experienced something afterwards where it was the craziest situation. I'm not going to go into details, but just know it was crazy. And I had this sense of knowing that he had me, right? During this whole, and based on the situation, I probably shouldn't have, but I had this sense in me where I'm like, I know he, you know what I mean?
Everything gonna be good.
Yep. And then it worked out after a whole bunch of some other stuff, and it worked out. And I remember sitting and I was like, oh, I asked him to show me what faith meant. And after that, yeah. So I was telling a friend the other day, she asked me, we were having a conversation about prayer. And she was asking me, what did I think the difference between praying and having it answered versus praying and it not being answered? And I said, your faith. And she said, what do you mean? And I'm like, I remember when I was younger, they would say, we had altar call in church. And they would say, take your problems to the altar and pray about it and give it to God, leave it there. And again, I didn't know what that meant. You know what I mean? But when you're praying in faith, you have faith that he hears you and he's going to handle it. Now, if you pray and then you go and start worrying about it again or thinking about it again, that's not really having faith. You know what I mean? So to me, faith means believing that God is going to do what's best. And so now when I think about that, like, oh, well, whatever happens, he going to do what's needed to be done. And I don't worry about it no more after that. So that was a whole different, like, I don't know, it was an aspect changer for me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Just made stuff make sense.
A whole, as they said, shifting your pendulum, I believe they said. Yep. So that is, man.
There is no, even if things don't happen out the way that it, I would hope for, or they're not necessarily good, or they're unfortunate, or whatever, I understand that they're all within reason. Like, there is no mistake. There is no, you know what I mean? Like, everything happens for a reason.
It happens, as they say, perfectly in line. So another question that I have for you is, how has your faith tied into success for you?
Ooh, child. Tremendously. I cannot begin to explain some of the things that has happened. But I do know my prayers. And when I say I have watched some of my prayers right in front of my eyes, things that I know God and I have discussed, you know what I mean?
Just unfold.
Just opportunity after opportunity, different, you know what I mean? So it has changed tremendously. But what's funny is, even in talking to some people, you will have people try to discourage you and, tell you that your dream isn't as big as you think it is, or it won't be. I even had this guy at work tell me, well, you're going to have to keep working here because that little massage and yoga business ain't going to take care of the family. And I'm looking at him like, so you know what me and God was talking about? Because how you going to tell me what God can't do for me? You know what I mean? So it's almost, I don't worry about how many people I have in class, how much money. Like, I haven't thought about money at all. And that's just being real.
Talk.
It's not about the money for me. I don't even feel like my success comes here. I honestly feel like I won't know I'm successful until I leave here and God be like, yep, that's what I needed you to do. That's when I feel like I know. So anything I do is with faith that I'm doing what he wants me to do. I walk on the path that he has lit up. And that's just how I operate. Like, all of the things that I have been presented with, I didn't plan. Not one, not even being here. You know what I mean? So I wake up, I pray, I ask, I only want to do what it is you want me to do. I have all the love in my heart and I keep it there. And that's it. That's all I can do.
I got you. So, listen, I am enjoying this conversation. I love it. But this is the part of the podcast that, I hate to do.
Oh no, what is it? It's the end.
Yes. Like, I hate doing this part,
It's
but
okay.
it got to be done at some point in time.
It does.
So, my last question for you is, if there was one gem,
Mhm.
like one gem to success, or even I'm gonna go past success today, and just one gem in helping somebody build their faith,
Mhm.
what would that gem be?
One gem in helping someone build their faith.
Mhm.
Well, the first thing would be to breathe. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Quiet your mind.
Mm.
And basically take some time to turn inward and find out who you are, because a lot of us don't know. And once you find out who you are wholeheartedly, then ask God to present to you your purpose and walk in that. And if you've allowed, your heart to harden, whereas, you don't want to love anymore, or don't feel like you can, find some way to get that love back, because it's the greatest gift. Like, it's basically the whole purpose. So, and that's it. That's all I got.
Listen, I appreciate you so much for being here.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
It's no problem. Like, listen, you just started my day on fire. Like,
period. I'm with it.
It's gonna be on for. Listen, you got me amped up for the month.
I am with it. Yes.
I appreciate it so much. So, thank you guys once again for coming to kick it with us on the Roll Your Minds podcast. Please like, share, subscribe.
Please. And
one thing we almost forgot. Let the people know how they can get in touch with you.
Oh, I'm everywhere. You feel me? Everywhere. No, I'm just playing. So currently I teach at the Levels Fitness Studio on Miller Road, Pirates Park Plaza, next to the UPS store. I'm there Saturdays at 10 o'clock, Sundays at 7:30 p.m. I just started yoga classes at I Am My Billboard. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Mondays and Wednesdays from 12 to 1. And then I also do Thai yoga massage at Fitness. And I'm also available by appointment. So you can find me at Release With Reese on Instagram.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you guys for coming to watch. Hope you guys get to come back and check us out soon. Thank you.